And now we're live.
Sorry.
Really? You didn't hear that, did you? Hopefully not. Somebody's behind the tent relieving themselves. But hey, welcome to Czechia 25 the Gathering.
Yes. Perfect timing.
Yes, thank you, sir. We're rounding up our guests for today. Alex and I were just discussing maybe we shouldn't have set up a Saturday morning show.
That was bold.
Yeah, it was very bold because I think people were up until 5 a.m. perhaps this morning. Some folks. So it'll be interesting to see who shows up and in what condition. So we can have a conversation, or we can just let the viewers see the beautiful field behind us. You can grab a cup of coffee, come back, and or
They're coming!
Oh! Victor has arisen.
Victory!
Victory!
That's a victory!
He has arisen. Wild man.
I don't
It's been
believe
like
it.
this all week.
So beautiful.
Welcome.
You do the ceremony like this is my power. I rounded them up without even finding them. There you
That's
go.
you're the best. You are the
Magnetic
best.
personality.
Yeah, exactly.
I can plug this in and not have to wait for you guys.
That's in my alarm clock.
Can I walk through here?
Hmm?
Is that okay to plug in here, or am I going in the way of the...
You are, but it's okay.
It's okay, I'll
This is
sneak around behind you then later.
This is a very chilled live TV.
Okay, sweet.
So you're not our guest?
No, unless you want me, but I
Yeah.
can be your guest in a little while.
Yeah, please be our guest.
Fantastic, I just need to tend to some internal affairs. I don't go
That guy
far.
like.
Hello.
Apparently
You
that's
can
no
say
power.
something to the audience. How do you like the gathering?
Oh, that's why it's not working.
Yeah.
That will explain it. Where do I begin?
Almost.
I've always felt like an outsider until I realised that I'm from the future, and here I'm meeting other people from the future, and as a result, I finally feel I'm entering into a space where I belong, and that for me is a profoundly healing experience.
Oh. This is how we know it.
But it's the truest story I've ever told. People always say, "Where are you from?" I don't feel like I'm from anywhere I grew up. I was always.
Oh. Good grief, hang on a sec. Wait. Oh my gosh, we missed all that.
What?
In fact,
It's okay.
and we missed my brilliant intro.
Get my fart on tape either, so that's probably
That's
a good
right.
thing.
Yeah.
We didn't have sound. You mean?
We may have had the sound from the iPad. We'll see.
I recorded a small podcast on this just now, so I can
Really?
also just post it to you in the gathering or wherever.
No, but
Mm.
that was really lovely. Maybe you can say that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Guests are coming.
Yes, brother Luke.
Yeah.
Ambassadors of the Crystal people are in the house.
Hallelujah. A new day.
I don't believe in crystals, you
Yeah,
can
Jay.
snort.
Oh, is this matte?
Jay, talk.
Mm-hmm. So you want me to say the thing that I
Yeah.
just said?
Yeah.
So the prompt was how do
It'd
I
be
feel?
natural, like it's the first time.
Yeah. I'll be natural. It's more natural if Alex asks the question first and pretends we haven't already done it.
So I want to ask the same question to all of you. How is the gathering so far?
A theater of progress, breakthrough, and clarity. A little bit- Wunderbar.
Actually, we did get it.
Yeah,
We did.
you did get it.
My
Anyway,
other
shall I
favorite
shall I repeat it
phrase.
anyway for posterity? Anything worth saying is worth saying twice. and Luke didn't hear it.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, yeah, this space has, and I've come to this recent realization that I'm from the future. And when I say that, it's actually the truest story that I've ever told. Because when people ask where are you from, I don't really identify with the cultures that I grew up in. And I always felt like an outsider. And when I walk around this space and engage with the people here, I meet so many other people from the future that feel resonance also with this, and that are working together and finding each other and finding the possibilities in each other to bring this future that we belong to into being, that I finally feel a sense of belonging. And yeah, that's a profound shift for me. Profound. So thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
We are answering the question, how is the gathering so far for you?
Luke's already answered. Oh,
That was a
Yeah.
beautiful, deep answer. You know, that was. I'm so happy that you are so speaking from the heart. You know, I thought that we do a comedy this morning.
well, you can do a comedy. It's the sacred shouldn't be too serious.
Yes.
It's good to have balance.
Wow. So how is it for you, Victor?
Well, I was somewhat worried because we're a smaller group of whether we were going to really able to raise the magic and the field of the gathering. But I think it's good. It's there, which means nothing goes according to plan, and everything that needs to happen is happening.
This is the vibe.
Yes. Mm.
I just realized this morning it's already Saturday, and I was like, okay, so tomorrow is the last day. Today is the day you can make everything happen. And then I realized there's so many beautiful people that I met that I don't even have the chance to talk to all of them in depth. And at first I was kind of having like a social FOMO, you know, like, okay, there's all these people, and there's the people that I haven't even talked to, and you know, there's all these places with beautiful people you can gather, and so I had a little FOMO moment this morning, but then I realized it's actually more beautiful because it just shows like there's so many beautiful people out there. You can meet, you can gather, we can do other gatherings, we can connect online, we can, I mean, we are all connected, right? It's just show me like the potential of how many beautiful encounters you can make in life, and yeah, that then gave me a lot of hope and joy for today and tomorrow to make the best out of it and to really go deep into the connections and conversations. And yeah, I've experienced so many beautiful things yesterday, so many synchronicities, so many also small breakups of the electricity, and then, you know, people taking agency and responsibility beyond themselves to make it happen, because the show must go on. It was beautiful, like, and yeah, I feel like I know people already for a long time, but I just met them 2 days ago. So it's
Would you like to share any particular connection that you have made?
like Jay, for instance, you know, we met 2 days ago, and we instantly clicked, and today it feels like I know you for quite a while already, and we had shared so many beautiful moments that I believe there will be many, many more in which we can connect and yeah, get to know each other and have a great time. It's beautiful.
I think it was actually just yesterday that we met, but the days are so long.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was just yesterday, but
Wow.
but there are so many experiences contained within yesterday that yesterday feels like 2 days worth of shared
Yeah.
experience. That's the
Wow.
that's the uncanny
Amazing.
thing. And this is how you make your life longer. You have more experiences closer together, and it just stretches time. It's,
And you, Jay, who have you met who you want to continue this relationship with, and you know it will go into the future?
Well, obviously one has just been established, and I feel like the circus of seeds has been planted, and this man here also,
Whoa.
brother Luke, only like met him before, but yesterday we really got down to alignment. And
Got down to the deep silliness.
yeah. The deep silliness, and the like he's also from the future, so it was very clear. And
He's not just from the future; he's from another planet,
Yeah.
and maybe potentially another dimension.
but this deep silliness also masks an incredibly wise soul that that has really thought about how we use play to bring people into the future that we're wishing to grow together, or actually that we know that we're going to grow together. I don't think it's even a wish. I think it is already done. It's
Sorry,
just
yeah.
now a case of flowing into it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and also Andrew, who's is Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah. Who's already working with Luke to tell these stories, and then connecting with everybody else and seeing there's so many. I could just go on and on and on and on, but it's also I just observe these patterns of resonance and possibility, and people identifying where they fit, what their part is in this greater play of plays. So,
Thank you. Luke, how about you? How's the gathering so far, and
Yeah.
what have impacted you the most? Who have impacted you?
Yeah, I'm also always so in wonder, in awe when all of us meet. We haven't seen each other maybe in this whole life. It's the first time we meet, or we haven't seen each other for a long time. But we meet here, and it's game time. Like, we are in sync immediately. One woman told me that she just arrived, and then someone came and hugged her as if they knew each other for their whole life. You know? Because here we meet on a deeper level. You could say a soul level, essence level. And we are aligned with our dharma, with our life purpose. And for me, actually, it feels that is the birthright, you know, to be in a tribe where are many tribes where we can do that, where we can look each other in the eyes like this, and we always know today, another day where we hold each other accountable for this mission, where we are empowered to be in our authentic self, to give our gifts. And so it's always a little bit of a pain, like today, where I know, just like you said, it's the last, or almost the last day, and we have to go back into the normal world, right? So that's also why we talked about it. I'm really firm on making sure that we can make this an ongoing, traveling technology, the gathering, or a format.
I would like to hear more about this, because this concept was in the air. Victor, have you heard about it?
I mean, I presume you're talking about the pilgrimage, right?
I call it the pilgrimage, but you have a different name. I call it
I
the
have
circus
been
of
talking
the
with Luke
circus
about
of
the
seeds.
Circus of Seeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there are different names for it, but essentially, this 21st century, like, we are a lot of people on the planet, right? And we know that there are many festivals and gatherings happening away from civilization, where people have an awakening, where people connect to Earth, where people go to profound healing and transformation and alignment with their higher self. But it stays somehow disconnected from the normal civilization.
this is the time where we can have the inner anchoring, courage, clarity that even if we go back into the normal world, it's not ours to play this old game. This new game is stronger in frequency, stronger in embodiment. It's much, much more powerful. So when we are in groups, we can hold this field, this frequency. We can go through cities, villages, landscapes, sacred sites, and we can just be there and do the very same thing. This idea of pop-up that now is in the air everywhere in the Web3 space, right? we are, this is the vibe, yes. We are all inside, we have a pop-up village. Like, he's a pop-up world. It's not just a human being. Inside there lives a world.
Pop-up world.
Yes. So, yes.
Yeah, to build on this, this is 100% the vibe, is to be present, that each of us is the potential for play and the invitation into this world of play, and we can become walking invitations into that. That just by the ways in which we engage and show up, and through small prompts and challenges, we can bring people into this field of the imagination of possibility. So I've been practicing here when people say, where are you from? I say, I'm from the future. I'm from the best possible future you can imagine. And bang. Suddenly we're not in, like, how do I orient you geographically, or how do I position you culturally or relationally? No, I'm from the fucking future. All right. Now you have to anchor yourself to that if you want to have a conversation, or you have to say, "Oh, dude, not for me," and you fuck off. And if you do that, that's fine. That's for you. But that's acted as a filter instantly. It's like, not my vibe. Thank you for not wasting my time. This is my vibe. This is who I am. If you want to come play, then that's the invitation. And I think everybody can find their own, but there are ways in which we can switch the pattern and norms just by simple prompts that we bring with us wherever we go.
Beautiful. And we have a question from the audience, but before we ask the question from I'm super curious, Victor, how does this, what you've...
So I really wanted to connect with what Jay said now, because when people hear play in our society, traumatized by thousands of years of depressingly somber religions, when we hear play, we think frivolity, children, irrelevance. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is live life with a different attitude. It's about getting the serious work done. It's about keeping awareness of all of the shit and all of this and all of this. It's not about ignoring collapse and just like getting high and dancing into the things. It's whilst keeping awareness in order to have the right mindset, the creativity, the energy, the ability to connect. Playfulness is laughing at the big cosmic joke, laughing at the fact, I'm gonna be dead soon, maybe humanity too, but nature will try again, if not this planet or another, you know, it's like, just laugh at it. You know, don't take it all so fucking serious, because the second you take everything serious, your creativity shrinks down and shrivels, right? There is a beautiful story I read in the book, continues. It's 1920s, a white woman goes up the Amazon by herself with a bunch of other things. So they're going up canoes, right? And this is the real canoes, right? A log that's been drilled out. Big fucking heavy. When you go up a river, you have to portage sometimes. And which means you carry your canoe up. And she observes these two group of men, because of course they have a big group of indigenous going with them. And the indigenous, it's big, massive, heavy thing they're carrying, and you slip and you get hurt and it's tough work. And they're laughing, and somebody falls down, they come back up laughing, and it's a big joke. The white guys are pissed off. They're swearing. They're cursing. It's just the most, because it's hard work. It's an unpleasant experience, right? Exact same experience, different attitude, completely different experience.
Wow.
I really love that story, that anecdote. It completely changes. And people say like, oh, you know, I'll be playful when everything is going well. Goes that no. Playfulness means it's raining, your team is losing, you just fell down with your face first into the mud, and you come up laughing at the silliness of the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the vibe.
So it's actually a really, really profound shift in mindset and in attitude, and a completely necessary one. I don't believe we'll be able to do all the things we hope for, live the kind of lives we hope for without making that shift.
Sweet.
The Dalai Lama, by the way, from what I hear, laughs a lot. He's full of humor and lightness and joy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's also this message, obviously, from Yeshua, from Jesus, that the children are closer to the kingdom of heaven, right? It's because they are connected to joy, right? Joy is this energy within that moves mountains. Joy it's a constant fuel of creativity that makes us want to play and continue to create and continue to flow. And actually there's this really powerful other story, and please, if I don't get it right, like I just try to recollect it the best I can. But the way capoeira came into being is also very similar. So it's Brazil, and there we have another element within the element of play that is essential for this current emergence, awakening, and response to the meta crisis. Because the slaves from which capoeira originates, they were dancing around the fire. Right? They were dancing around the fire when the masters, the white people, were looking at them, and this was their freedom, so they had the right to dance. This already triggered them, like in your story, that they danced, you know, because they were somehow still free in all of that hard work. But then when the masters looked away, they practiced martial arts to prepare for a response when they get attacked or to break free. So inside the system, they didn't let their spirit break. They danced, and then they were practicing martial arts together, not as a competition, but actually as a collaboration to make each other stronger. When the white people looked again, they were dancing again. So they couldn't really even detect that they were practicing all this time, sharpening their vessel, sharpening their human body, mind, spirit, to become more effective and powerful with more agency. And so I think that's an aspect of what we experience right now, that when we say playfulness, it's not just unstrategic and not wise playfulness, but it is like within that framework we can increase our skills, we can increase our capacity and competence, and then apply that for the time we live in, which is obviously, one of the most profound times you can be on earth right now.
There's also science that shows that when we're playing, we're making 10 to 20 times more neural network connections in our brain physically. And they did studies with children to find out why they learn so fast and why they play so much. They learn so fast because they play so much.
So we've got several things emerging in favour of play. We've got play as a response to hardship, but also in terms of accessing that creative space and flow. We've got play as a means of shielding and disguise, and we've got play as a means of learning faster. But the other thing I've observed about play, which also deserves, I think, to be present to, is that play invites presence and it invites humanity. So when you enter into this space of play, and I say this as somebody who's spent my whole life in this 4D chess of like, how do I negotiate basic social situations? Where is this going? How is this person related to me? How does this, like, how do they fit? And only the last few weeks just gone into this space of instead playing every moment in the moment, and it changes your relationship. It allows you to be present to other people in the moment, and it also invites presence in them, because suddenly you're outside of the conventional patterns. You're in a space of the unknown where you have to pay attention to the prompts and the call and response of the person. And when we connect as humans without expectations on one another and without obligations on one another, it changes not just our relationships and our relationality. It changes the underlying feelings, and it allows for actual a space of safety where secure bonds can be made. And I've especially observed this in relationships to women when this is removed, and the invitation is there without any expectation, without any of these kind of how do they relate, what are these kind of sexual possibilities, or all of these kind of, when all of this is escaped, then you enter into this space of each person seeing themselves as a human, valuing each other as humans, and from that, deeper and more authentic relationships can be formed. And I think there's real power in this as well, and it's incredibly powerful. But now I'm maybe being too serious. Slap that back
That
on
was
there.
joy from the future.
Yeah.
So, you have a question?
We have a question from the audience. But
Yay,
you can still
question.
keep your thoughts. I believe it's all connected in a way.
Of
In
course.
fact, you all have
They're
kind of
playing
been
with us.
addressing this, but Systems Logic asks, so I think the trick will be to maintain the coherence of this generative future, even while waiting for others to join in. How can we do that in a nourishing and uplifting way? So that's both for us and for people coming in, I guess.
I mean, the exactly play, right? And I think the thing to understand about coherence, it's not an end state, it's a process. And we're always moving into more coherence as we fall out of coherence on some things, you know, and it's a process, it's not an end state. I hope that answers the question. But one more thing that I wanted to connect with play, which is interesting. You said human. Play links all mammals. This is why we get along with dogs and cats, because they understand play. They understand, I bite you, but this is play, so I bite you in such a way that I don't hurt you. Right? This is why we get along with other animals. I think most other animals don't have play. I don't think reptiles and birds do play, or at least not to that degree. But certainly, this is why we hang out with cats and dogs, because we share play.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Does the audience say anything on that? Okay. So we can continue about play.
About play, but let's mix it a little bit, because
Alright.
coherence and
Another
play.
topic.
Yes, coherence and play, it's like very connected. And I think one secret to coherence is what we call in the modern time this alignment between purpose and play. So now we talk a lot on purpose, right? In ancient India, in Sanskrit, you have these two terms, dharma and lila. So lila, it means divine play. It's a framing of existence itself as not, a creation by God that is outside the creation, but it's like God is like the consciousness of the universe is everywhere, and it just creates through all beings because out of sheer abundance. And then it is inside all of us, so that source being, so it is kind of experiencing itself from within its own creation, right? So that's Lila, and that's that being, our true self, or our highest self, wants to be free, wants to know itself, and wants to enjoy its world that it can play in, which is this world. That's why also this century, this time we live in, it's so important to connect to that deeper essence, because in Sanskrit we say Sat Chit Ananda, the true self is bliss, consciousness, reality. everything else, all the emotions, all the thoughts, they are absolutely necessary for us to see and go into and witness. But behind that, on the other end of the spectrum, is always this profound beauty. Profound beauty. And that's, I think, very, very important. But then the other aspect is dharma. So that's purpose alignment. Actually, it means duty, but it's more like a cosmic duty. When you receive this body in the Vedas, they say, you were here to give a gift to the universe through this world that only you can give. So that makes the game even more juicy, because that means all of us have something unique to bring to the table, right? And that brings coherence, because we don't have the pressure to all do the same and to have to control each other, but we can know we have all these infinite game players that serve the greater whole, that have different projects, but all of them have this shared North Star of regenerating life on Earth and raising consciousness.
That is profound. And I wanted to ask
I
this question
remembered
from the
Huluk
audience.
reminds me of young Krishnamurti.
That's big shoes.
He
he was
started
like,
out young too, but he was groomed. But
he was
by the what's it called, spiritual society.
I'm wondering about the nourishing. How do we nourish each other?
So, yeah, I think this is really important, and I think through play we nourish each other spiritually, but we also, in recognizing that we are serving a common story, in recognizing that we are all players of the same game, and that when each of us levels up our capacities, we level up our collective capacities to accelerate and bring this into the future. I think it creates a space that invites us to care for one another and to look at ways in which we can do that. And I think a lot of it is just small observations in the moment, and it's been happening at the camp. It's like if you're making yourself some bread and spread, make more, generate abundance. Like it's a little extra time, but then suddenly you're saving other people time as you're doing it. So try and exist in this space of abundance. How do I create more than I immediately need so that I can act from a space of generosity, that I can then give to others, and then that also invites other people to enter into that space, and suddenly you find that you are also receiving what you need. So it's to give and to be open to receive, not to give and take. That's a different energy, but to give and be open to receive, and also observe what you are being offered all the time, because the food forest is all around us in every space. Even in Dahab, I live in the fucking desert. There is a food forest there growing behind walls, but I see it because I've learnt to recognize the invitations, and there are fruits, and there are mangoes, and there is purslane, and there are all of these different things, different offers, different opportunities, different gifts. And when we're present to them, then also this increases our space of abundance that we can offer more to one another. I hope that makes some sense.
I would love to go in with a concrete example, because we set up our Electro space yesterday. And it started already in the morning. I entered our space and there was already yoga happening. So I joined a yoga session in the morning. And our invitation was to open this space for everybody who wants to contribute: yoga, breathwork, meditation, ceremonies, anything, workshops. So in the morning we started with yoga. Right after that, there was somebody doing a tea ceremony. Right after that, we had people giving workshops, being in there, spending beautiful time together. Then we had a workshop on longevity, which fits exactly what we're doing inside the space, since we have a few longevity technologies in there. And then in the evening, we had a cacao ceremony. And the facilitator never facilitated a cacao ceremony before. So they just came to us and said, we heard your invitation. We would love to contribute something, but we've never done it before. Are you open to hold us? And we're like, oh yeah, sure, we're open for everybody who wants to contribute something from the heart to everybody. So we had the whole day, like a beautiful program that we could have not done ourselves with our own capacity. And all the beauty came in, and different people with different gifts and talents just came and filled the space with experiences. And we
That's
got
profound.
nurtured as well. We were inside there and we were like, wow, okay. We are, of course, also contributing something, helping here and there with the logistics, but the actual play, like in theater, is the actors on stage, right? And how they connect with each other and how they interact with each other. That's what's creating that beautiful magic.
But I was sorry. Go on.
So, because I really want to connect and emphasize one thing, which is probably obvious to us and unspoken, but maybe not obvious to people who haven't played with these ideas. So when we say play, when we say game, at least for me, we're talking about free play. It doesn't mean chess or football at a fixed time with points, with somebody scoring, somebody being paid to do it, and somebody not getting paid their salary if they lose, right? We're talking about free play. We're talking about kids running out to the playground. And it's, the image that comes to me or that I like is I bring my toys. I brought my toys here to the gathering. I brought this toy of Adventure Family. I brought this toy of Region OS. They are idea toys, but they're still toys. And you bring them to, and you hope the other kids will want to play with your toys, but you have to accept that maybe they don't like your toys. But then you play with somebody else's toys, and the point is the play and the fun. So it's the play that has freedom. And of course, there's a degree of play in professional soccer, but really, the more you institutionalize it, the more rules, regulations, money, and such you put around it, the less that spirit of joy, of play, that there is this magic kind of thing, the less that field exists, the more rules and regulations and things that you put on it. And that's exactly what the gathering is, right? Because of course, if there's no rules, there's no space, right? Then like nothing happens, right? And that's the goal of the gathering, to create a space which is contained enough that, well, we can come here, there's water, there's food, there is shelter. We feel safe enough, but yet it's as open as it possibly can be for everybody to bring their toys, to play, to in the moment have an idea and say, I want to do this game with crystals because I have crystals and we're going to have fun with it.
This one is serious.
Very serious.
And what we have seen, we also brought all our toys and we just put them in the dome and we said, here's the playground, right? And we see people playing differently. And by observing other people play with your toys, you learn something about, this is a game I could play. This is how I could play this game differently. You're learning all the time by observing the other people playing. And I think we are also, imagine you would learn chess without a second player. It would be really boring, wouldn't it? You would just sit there and think for yourself, and there's like nothing interacting with you. It would be a very sad game.
I kind of now want to play chess with a second player, but we both pretend that we don't know the rules, and and so we've just got the board and we've got the pieces, and then we just explore what all, like if we were to approach chess like we approach a deck of cards, for example. There's infinite possibilities with a deck of cards.
We have a 2-year-old here on the
She's the one to be the player on
but
that.
the thing that came to me, this is exactly what humanity at large is doing now. It's trying to play the game of life, of civilization, whilst pretending to not know that there is rules like, oh, it's one planet, there is like air, it circulates, right? Like, we'll just ignore that and continue. This is exactly what we see in the world at large.
Let's play a scarcity game in an abundant space.
Or we might just ask, does anybody know the rules?
Well, I think this is where we're here, and I feel that the people here are closer to certainly feeling what the rules of a global regenerative, let's not fuck the planet civilization would be.
Yeah, and you know there is one more aspect why this is so profound happening at the gathering, where when we come together and offer our gifts, we create the condition, we create the right playground for others then to play. Why this can have a ripple effect that goes much beyond what we experience here. Because most of the time, the reason why we live in ignorance or disconnected from nature, disconnected from ourselves, our bodies, our heart, is because we think, okay, I get happiness from something outside that I take in, which always creates this dopamine loop of then leaving me in a state of, fuck, actually I'm not happy now. Because what we actually want to do, what our inner child actually wants to do, is to come and gather with people where I can share my gifts, where I'm being seen and valued for doing my first cacao ceremony or tea ceremony or kung fu introduction or Taoist meditation, right? Like, doesn't matter what background you have. Everyone has a gift. These were very like exquisite examples, but everyone has this gift that they want to share with the world, and that's like such a powerful source of happiness because it's about giftivism. It's about sharing something with others that uplifts everyone. And so where the huge opportunity for the gathering, when we talk about scaling the gathering, making the gathering global, making the gathering something that is in motion and that moves, is that what you did there, you can do it everywhere. Yeah. We can understand that we can do it everywhere. We can create our playground everywhere. And actually, let's change the assumption from the normal people from okay, they don't want to play, they don't, they are so serious, involved with their own games. Let's change our own inner story into everyone wants actually to share their gifts. Everyone wants to get to know themselves and understand why we are here in this time. And everyone wants to step in this joy of uplifting others through their superpower.
So I have a story directly related to this, but first I want to honor the simplicity and also point to how easy this is. Like, everybody, I mean, it's not to negate the logistics. Yes, these things have to be put in place, but there is something about creating a space of permission, and you leave the space empty, but you create that invitation. This is a place where you can do something. This is a place where you can start something, and it's a space, time, and story. And the story itself is the invitation. And then from that, beautiful things can emerge. But now to get to this, that everybody is a potential player. I live in Dahab in South Sinai. This was my complicated story. Egypt. And we had a friend come to stay with us who's an artist, and she'd just got back from painting an entire building in Aswan. And she goes and she looks at the police station. She's like, I want to paint the police station. And rather than saying no, we're like, well, why don't we make a sketch and like imagine what the police station looks like? We can edit in Photoshop. We can go talk to the police and see what they say. So we introduce her as an artist. We say, this is an artist from Berlin, and she wants to make this police station beautiful. And we recognize that every day, like you're seeing the worst of humanity to some degree, or the worst that this city has to offer, because you're the guys that have to deal with the problems. And we want to show you some gratitude for that, or to recognize and honor that.
Wow.
And then suddenly the police were like, well, we're not the people that have the say because we're in the system, but we love this idea and we will take you to the next person up the chain. So then we're in the police station talking to the chief of police, and he's like, wow, yeah, I'm not the guy, but I love this idea. Then we're talking to the chief of police for the whole of Dahab, and he's like, yeah, this is great. I love the idea. I'm not the guy. And then, but we're working our way up the chain, and we're in this space, and suddenly we're engaging from a sense of play and love and care and opportunity. And we're giving them something outside of their daily experience that they welcome in. And we ran out of time because Moni had to go back to Berlin. But the seed was planted somewhere on a desk in Cairo. Is this picture of a Dahab police station, painted by an artist from Berlin.
Wow.
And so it is possible when we move into this space of play that even these structures are composed of humans that are trapped within them, that want to be seen as human. And when you see them as human and you engage with them in this playful space, then it can penetrate the system in unseen ways and act as a social psychedelic.
Wow.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
This is
There was a question from the audience about what are our plans for follow-ups. So this is my whole plan for this space today, is to make this a connection space where I invite everybody, and also especially the leaders of the key projects that are here, to make declarations of what happens next, of follow-up. And I'm asking for any action. It doesn't have to be a grand action. It can be a call. We're going to have a call and discuss this, but I'm going to invite them to declare this publicly and share it in the group, just so that we keep
on the live stream.
on the live stream or videos. We'll work out the technology. So yeah, that's the idea, to invite everybody to think of what action they want to do with whom after.
It would be beautiful if we had a collective artifact of all the actions from all the people, so you can see also what other people are acting on after this experience, which might inspire you also to take an action, or maybe to go to that person and say, hey, I would love to support that.
I'll think about it. I was hoping to have more boards, but I think even with 4 boards we can do it. I'm on it. Thank you.
Nice.
I'm gonna hop out. Somebody
wait.
else?
Question. You have to, because talking about play, and first of all, thank you so much for taking part in my play.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
This part is actually designed by Victor. So yeah.
Thank you for holding the space.
Oh my God!
Thank you, Kevin, also for
so early in the
broadcasting
morning.
this every day.
Yeah, maybe like that. You
But
choose
it's
your
actually an easy one.
This is an easy one. What is your purpose is an easy one. This is
What
when you
is-
know you're in the
What
zone.
is your
When you get a question like, what's your purpose? Like, piece of piss, I fucking know this already. Let's fucking
Because
go.
This
Yeah.
it's to create this space and to contribute to more spaces like this existing in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because actually I wanted to connect with before when you said that, you feel home. This is why I had to build this space, because I couldn't find home anywhere else.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And thank you for creating that space. It's really beautiful. So we passing this question around, or
No.
or this is
Everybody
everybody
chooses
gets their own
destiny.
question? Okay.
So who
Yes,
wants
such-
to join? Because we have one more seat now available. Amazing.
Okay. Luke?
The wise sage.
Don't let the bed fool you.
Choose your destiny.
Choose your destiny.
I suggest, yesterday it worked out quite well. Stay with the question for a moment. Maybe we can, when you have the question, maybe we can tap into it in silence for a minute.
I can start. My question is, how are you using Web3? And it's a very interesting question. And I would say most of all, for me, it's a reminder and an invitation that everything is developing further. Any technology that we have today will not probably be state of the art tomorrow. So it's an evolution of consciousness, I would say, of the human consciousness that is expressed through technology. So for me, it's an invitation to look further into the future.
Web 4.
Yeah, Web 4, 5, 6, Web 3. I remember when the internet came to my life, I was in school. and suddenly I could access like dictionaries, libraries, information. I was sitting in school and I was thinking, why am I learning all this if I can get it from the computer? And suddenly my life changed. And today we know how much our life has changed just from that step. And so I'm just in awe to see Web3 and 4 and 5 come alive.
Yeah, Web 4 is emerging already.
I think web is either Web 4 or Web 5 is also it's interfacing with the mycelial substrate directly to provide an interface into the natural kingdom to act as a bridge between the two, so we can achieve symbiogenesis more quickly. That we are changing our environment and changing with our environment to better adapt and clearer read the signal.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Next question. Next person answering their question.
Yes. I love, by the way, this game because the fun of this greater game that we are embedded in is that we are each other's teachers, and the exact information. If we see reality like that today I am here and I'm exactly receiving the information that I need to know to be of greater service to humanity. When you have that mindset every single day, you unleash it to the collective being, the collective consciousness with a prayer, then that's literally what we do to each other. And I learn from every one of you, including these cards, what I need to learn on a deep level to grow, right? So what are the key factors for building coherence? I think that's a beautiful question. For me, I really understood in this gathering that this outer coherence that we want to align different organizations and actors and platforms and aspects of this emerging culture is, for me, secondary to the one that experiences this whole process that is happening on the outside. Because the true coherence within the sync of feminine and masculine, left brain, right brain, becoming really, really present, that's what is the seed or the inner state that is the soil for the outer alignment or outer coherence. And so the factor for me to go into the state is what we had yesterday in your tent. It's these different practices that allow us actually to just stop doing for a second, even stop playing for a second, and just be and see what's there. Because I know you also have observed this, and of course Gautama Buddha is teaching us that if we just sit and allow ourselves to be, the emotions come up, energy and motion, that inform us of what we can shine our light of awareness to, our great being to, and then by just sitting here, all the right powers, forces, support is coming. So we always think we need to do something, but actually for me, coherence and the factors for coherence are giving myself the space to land and trust that everything is on its way. Support is on its way so that the greater being can awaken. And that's very important also for us as a collective, as humanity, to go into coherence. It's this deep trust that if we are just ourselves, if we're just in presence, then everything automatically aligns around us to help us. Yeah.
When you're of service to a greater story and a more beautiful future, the universe will put you where you need to be and give you, and you will say the right thing at the right time.
Yes.
So, I have, how are you a good ancestor?
How are you a good ancestor?
How am I a good ancestor? And this is a very interesting question for me, because I feel like, to some degree, being from the future, I am the ancestor to myself. And this actually aligns with Buddhist philosophy. We understand like we understand in the West reincarnation as a linear thing, like that time is linear, but time is not linear. So actually reincarnation happens across the timeline, which is how there are so many people from the future around. So that's the first thing, is to recognize that I'm an ancestor to myself, and a lot of us here are ancestors to ourselves. We're growing the reality that we will later inherit and live in. And I think I think it's also important for everybody on Earth to recognize that you will experience not just you will experience the future. You might not remember it, but you have already experienced the future that you're creating, and you can tap into that. But also you will experience at some point the future that you are creating now. So the kinder and the better reality you create now, the better the reality your future selves are going to experience, regardless of how you're dancing around in the timeline. So that's the first thing. So how am I a good ancestor? I am planting as many seeds and helping to grow as many seeds and to identify the seeds of this possible future, to point at things so that people can see them, that we can see how much potential is already here, how much beautiful technologies and processes are already underway. The deserts are already being greened in multiple spaces across the world. How do we accelerate that? It's possible to smelt steel using Fresnel lenses, just using the focused heat of the sun. This is already happening. How do we propagate and tap into that energy? What are the other possibilities that such very simple and basic technology offers? There is so much potential here. So this is how I am trying to be a good ancestor, is to find the seeds, to help them propagate, to distribute them, and also, more importantly, to invite as many people as possible into that game and into that mode of play, because the more of us engage with the world in this way, then the quicker this reality becomes to pass, and the more of our future selves get to experience this beautiful and wonderful reality that we know is possible.
Whoa.
Mic drop.
Work for today is done.
Just
give it an hour
I
of
can get
play.
out.
It's a wrap.
I think we can like. I'll be curious to do you, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Well, I got a great question, which is so
You can make up your own
add your
It's
own
so
question.
cool.
So I'll give you the background to my question.
Good.
Unlike Jay here, I'm not from the future, but I'm from an entirely different dimension. Like,
What
which
comes
I
in
really,
this dimension?
it's been a ride. And when I mean entirely different, I mean it's like non-physical. Like none of the concepts that exist here exist there. You know, I've no real recollection of it because it's so different. So life has been like this. Like just learning all about physicality and emotion and gravity. I mean, gravity, I don't know how you guys even cope with that thing. It's like so hard. It sucks. So, and like you have to actually physically do things that make them done, you know, all completely alien concepts to my mind. So, so that leads me to well, it means like life is like all this constant learning, like every day, not quite childlike, but it's like, oh, okay, I learned something about myself today again, and oh, that's apparently how you don't do it. But not in a judgmental way, but like that, this behavior will give those types of results. You know? So, and in this, some more backed up, happened to fairly recently. I was very happy-go-lucky. You know, you know, things would happen. I'd resolve them. Things would be fine, and then I kind of stepped into a new role after lots of years in one type of role, like a jester and into this. Okay, now you're like a project manager. Now you got to get shit done. Like you got to be on top of admin. You got to be on top of the HR. You got to be on top of raising funds. You got you get way too many roles, especially if you get zero experience as a project manager. But you got to do it because that's now your job. And it's been so hard. and so at times soul crushing and exhausting because you did not train for that, and plus I'm in an entirely different dimension that I'm kind of adapted to. So it's been really, really difficult. So that leads me to my question and my answer. So my question is, what was the most recent lesson you learned? So the most recent lesson I learned was from you guys, listening to you just now, about play and happiness and joy. Because I was like, that's the thing. Because I was like, I've kind of reduced the joy. Oh no, no bubbles. That's fine. Let's just manifest them with our minds.
No bubbles.
Are there going to be bubbles?
What do you mean, no?
See. Here's someone who knows to plan and manage a project. I'm impressed. This reminds me of home. But yeah, then I realized, yeah, no, this is like what has been lacking is that simple joy, that like, you know, lugging that, because it's been like lugging that canoe up the hill, and every time I slip, I'm like, fuck it. Like, and every time someone says, oh, Tim, you're late on this, so this isn't working, and it's like, ah! And then I realize, oh no, actually, you guys, you know, it's like, fancy that, I slipped. Whoops, I messed up. Like, I did something embarrassing. I broke a protocol. Like the first exercise we did together, we went zoop, and I like missed the person behind me, and then I was like, oh shit, I stepped in front of them in line. I was like, that's so embarrassing. My human self was like, oh. My alien self was like, oh, there's a sequence going in, and I just like, I'm learning, I'm finding your way back to that laughter, and just like taking time to laugh at it all, because I guess it is kind of a divine comedy, and failure should be failure. In Swedish we have like, well, I guess we have a term like there's a mistake and there's a failure. Like a mistake is like it happens. A failure is if you don't curate the mistake and rectify it. So mistakes. So it's important to like, the best way to deal with mistake is a good hearty laugh. Shake it off. And then like, okay, and now I'm in a state where I can attract whatever I need to attract, understand what I need to understand. So thank you for really unlocking some joy in my life again.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that joy back into the space and amplifying it for everybody.
Good. What shall we do now?
Play.
Do we have any questions from the audience, Kevin?
No. Everyone's loving this.
All right.
Yeah.
Then show us love. Ask some question or like bring some comments. We can respond to audience, please.
I have a story about that relates to the play. I just remembered when you guys were talking, and I think I think this might be from the 70s or 80s, and I think it's probably northern Canada. But there's a photographer who's in a distance. He's taking pictures of sledgehound dogs, you know, and they're all tied down next to the sledge. And then he just, from the corner of his eye, he sees a polar bear approaching. And this is about like a really harsh winter, and the polar bear is really scraggly and starving. It's somehow come over to the mainland, and it's seeing the dogs, and it's like, dinner, nice, you know. So it moves into like the pose. Its ears go back. You can see it is going to eat them, you know, and they have nowhere to go. And the photographer has a safe distance, but he's like, okay, I'm going to be picturing a massacre. So, but as the polar bear approaches, the dogs see it, and their reaction is not fear. They think it's another dog to play with. So they start jumping around enthusiastically and like, oh, another dog for a herd. Yeah. And as the polar bear approaches, its entire, you know, body language just kind of shifts, despite being starving, and its ears start perking up, or whatever polar bears do when they're not actually going to eat you. and it's so relaxed, and as it gets to the dogs, it's like in play mode, because they're in play mode, and he's got these pictures of this polar bear playing with these dogs, and there's like even an image of it playfully biting a dog around the neck. And you know, and that was, and I think that's such an incredibly powerful lesson, because it's like, oh, you're talking about the police station. You step into the game, you know. So if, you know, this, and I think it's not just like if you ever run into a polar bear that's hungry, pretend like you're a dog that wants to play, but more like we meet in life whenever you get people who are like stuck in their structure, and they're like, like if you can approach them with an invitation to play, you'll just trigger a different modality or whatever you call it on this planet. But you trigger something else.
Yeah, no, there's definitely power in that pattern switch, because most people, if they're coming with this violent mentality, they're expecting either fear or fight or flight.
Yes.
And when you switch into play or friend, it completely shifts the engagement. I had it once. I was sat around a train station, and suddenly like this gang of guys was around me, and there was this vibe there, and I was reading my book, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I looked and I saw one of them had a cigarette, and I was like, all right, lads, you got a cigarette? And then suddenly like they're giving me a cigarette, and I'm thanking them, and then I'm on my way. And I had a similar situation with pickpockets, but there was a guy in San Francisco who called himself the Avant-Gardian. He was invited to be the bouncer of this nightclub, I think in the meatpacking district. And he said, I'm only going to do it if I could do my art. And he was like improvisational theatre artist, and he would show up in like full body camo with like a beret, but there also he was kind of like this kind of combative clown. He had like a squeaky car horn on his side, and he described, you can find a podcast on this on Love and Radio, I think it's literally called The Avant-Gardian, but he would break up like fights in the street, you know, where knives were pulled, where the tension was up, and he'd just be like in there just like squeaky horn and just like completely shifting the whole vibe. And there was another guy on the New York subway called Chip Guy who did the similar thing. A couple are fighting on the train, nobody knows quite what to do, and then this guy gets up and he makes as if he has to leave because it's his stop, and he passes through the couple, and then he doesn't leave, he just stands there eating his bag of chips, and they're trying to fight around him, but they can't. And he's just there like in his own space. He's like, I'm just eating my fucking chips. And there are people that bring these strategies also to protests. There's Bike Guy, there's Standing Mat, like there's these different strategies that sit outside of the norms of expectation of the fear pattern, of the fight flight pattern. And when you switch into play and befriend, there has to be an adaptation of pattern, and there has to be an entry into the moment, because how do you beat up a furry? You know, there's bringing you flowers. What are the optics like of that? If the police are like beating, it breaks the narrative of we're the good guys, or it even breaks the narrative of cool. Because if they're suddenly in a situation that looks ridiculous, then suddenly their identity is... So whatever their motives are, they have to engage in a different way. So I think there is very powerful play in this mode, both in the invitation and also in the optics, and also in the pattern switching.
Yeah.
It's a power move.
I think that the beauty, the profound beauty in all of these stories, and also a message for the regenerative movement, is there is a difference between activism and pro-activism, right? So it's easy to look at the world and we are like, oh my god, this is clearly going south, this is not good at all, like we are eliminating ourselves, and now we identify who are the bad players. I'm against that, you know. That's actually not the regenerative movement. We are not identifying ourselves what we are against. What you are describing in the stories, and you too, is a form of, they call it we call it pro-activism. And that means I'm fundamentally not entering the situation from a state of not accepting what is. So I am entering a situation from accepting what is. And I'm not thinking, oh, the police in Dahab, these people, you know, the police are part of the matrix system and, you know, they are actually so outdated. I wish they would be like Europe. Let's give them some art so that they can, you know, maybe change themselves. No, it's like I put myself in the position of the other and compassionately feel that this is also me. This could be me right now. Actually, in fact,
Probably is.
at the level of consciousness, it probably is, you know. So by then, it's like interesting. Like it's like the Shambhala warrior prophecy as well. Like we are now awakening as warriors of compassion, and we can tune to each other how we are, even if it's like the systems that we know imprison many people, and the human beings, not agents, the human beings that are in that systems, we can compassionately put ourselves in that shoes and then speak to that, reason from their position, from our position there, and then we found, oh wow, this is a different melody in my ears. This is someone that actually imagines how it is like to be me right now, and that actually wants to help. And then that's where, through this proactivism, actual lasting change is being made. Of course, there is the archetype of the activist that confronts things that are not going right, that are uncomfortable to confront, and there's a place for that too. But I think more than that, we need right now people that synergize. So yeah, a culture of proactivists. That's what we are building.
That's good.
I have one more question, and then I guess we can give our audience a break. We are 1 hour 11 minutes. So the question is this: I'm very curious because maybe I take microphone even.
Yes, true.
Yesterday in our evening show, this realization came to me that when I encountered regenerative movement, it was like Alice in Wonderland, entering a Wonderland. So I suddenly like, oh, there's this world here. Wow, so cool. So it was like getting on the other side a little bit. There was not so much warning. It was just like, oops, it's that, and that's it. And I'm super curious, what was your, maybe not the entire past, because you can tell your life story, but do you remember the day when you heard about the regeneration for the first time?
Wow.
The word, I mean.
Who wants to start? Please.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I put it here.
Like this is good.
For me, it's not like a specific day or the concept of regeneration. For me, it was like, as a child, like even I felt like I came from the future. I just I looked at reality and I asked, like, why are we doing this? You know, like when I heard that people are killing each other, I asked, why are we doing this? When I heard that, you know, we are trashing the planet, I asked, why are we doing this? And I was just able to, you know, articulate that question. That I realized that something's off. The way we treat each other, we treat the planet, it was just inside of me, like as a child. And I think if you take children into those situations, if you would do that, they would ask, like, what is going on here? You know, they would immediately feel that there's something off. And for me, it's concepts are nice, but what is important is what you feel and what you believe when you use a concept. What is how you conceptualize things. And for me, regeneration, as I conceptualize it, it's thinking in circles, thinking in terms of eternity and not limits, thinking in terms of everything and not the particular, thinking not me or you in separateness, but thinking in terms of connection, in terms of unity, thinking in terms of just observing nature and seeing how nature is working, even if I don't fully understand it, I know behind it there is so much more wisdom and intelligence that it makes perfect sense to me if I look at nature that this is beautiful. Not like everything that we humans create, that I look at it and I'm like, this is not beautiful. So there is some internal compass, I think, showing us what is regenerative and what is not. And I think we all have that, or at least I experienced that. I had that when I was a child, and I assume that we all have that inside of us.
Wow. Wow. The last gathering of tribes was the first time where I was introduced to this community of changemakers, of souls that are actively working on restoring the conditions for life to flourish inside and outside. And you know, for my inner child, when we talk about embodied cognition, which is how in our body a concept resonates so that we really grasp it with our hands, with our whole being. It happened at the last gathering, and it is like being on this journey where you feel like nobody really sees me, nobody is knowing what I'm doing, nobody is even interested. I somehow want to contribute, but I don't know how to do that best. There is no tribe or people that hold me accountable to growing and, you know, like being my best self. And then finally you meet these beings, almost, you know, these beings that have figured out something about this reality on earth, and they greet you and say, "Ah, finally you're here. Welcome. Welcome, we have awaited you." Almost like they have been there all the time. Within you know all the details of your story, but it's more like this deeper compassion and feeling empathy that we actually all spawned in the same, you know, sacred geometry, VR, organic reality we call Earth, right? And we spawned here and we all went through these cycles of confusion until we meet each other here. Look each other in the eyes. Wow, we have the big honor to be Earth right now, to express ourselves as Earth through so many beautiful bodies, and to remember together that we are all this planetary system and beyond. And so for me it was an enchanting experience. Yes, it was very much almost like there are other forces also with us, you know, there that we can feel like these peaceful beings, the natural intelligences, the mycelium, yes, the even higher interdimensionals that are all looking at the people right now on Earth that give their all in this, you know, and really open their heart. So I feel it's like this interbeing, it's a sense of interbeing that is just so enchanting, and that's what I felt in the last gathering.
2024, right?
2024. And I must also say that on my journey, like even once I connected to that, going back to the world, sometimes I feel lonely or isolated, you know, when I'm not sitting around the fire, so to say, spiritual fire, like here now, you know. I feel again, oh, I'm alone on this. But that's also part of the training, right? And also to find the perseverance or the deeper faith and knowing in that moments, bringing into awareness that all of you are out there right now, giving your best for this shared mission. That's so beautiful. And I think we are now, after this gathering, really stepping into the world with the flame, carriers of the flame. We can carry the flame without letting it be burned out. I know that.
So yeah, as long as I can remember, I've been imagining this world of possibility. I can't remember exactly the first time I heard the term regeneration, but also I have to point to, as soon as I started looking for the term and searching for it, I found that it very quickly also is already in the process of being appropriated and used to, McKinsey is holding spaces on regeneration and so on. And yet I'm still feel connected to the energy embedded within the term. And recently I discovered the term the regenaissance, and I also like this regenerate, that we are the regeneration that came up yesterday. I think this is also related to the distinction between word as marketplace and story of possibility. So it's it's the story and the vibes that we share, which I think are they're impossible to appropriate because you can't replicate them, and the machine can't emulate or imitate, because you can fucking feel it. And I don't know if that's something that can even be put into words, because you just have to be present to it and in the moment and recognize it. But I think this kind of interbeing that you raise is the goal, the symbiotic or symbiogenic superorganism that we are all a part of, and that is realizing itself and changing itself. So I guess for me, I'm interpreting a question as, when did I become aware of the others? And that was only recently, in June, after going through a very dark time, coming to Berlin and finding fellow players of the game that instantly understood that, or were already working on the story and the plays and the moves. Yes, when we met. Because I think for me, this is what it is. It's not just the ideas. I'd carried these ideas for so long. Is finding the others that share that vibe and that energy, and being prepared to enter into that space of play and possibility. And that for me is very recently alive. And yeah, literally just coming into it, and then here I am.
Yeah, and it was interesting you mentioned the term regenerate, and I was like, okay, when did I hear that term first time? I think it many moons ago, and I was like a young teenager playing role-playing games, like board role-playing games, and there was a game called Gamma World. It was like after the disaster, and there's like, you could be a human or you'd be like a mutant, and mutants could have different skills or talents, and I think one was like you could regenerate an arm if you got ripped off, things like that. And I think that was the first time I came across the term regeneration through a game, so it's slightly different perspective. But then I've been thinking a lot about that, and especially about the to go to the top level, I guess, of the regenerating operating system, and our roles as humans in that. And I think what makes us maybe more things than we think make us unique. I mean, we can store information outside our brain. Most animals can't really do that. We have very complex language. Most animals don't have that. So I mean, we have an understanding of our role in a temporal sense, which I think a lot of animals don't maybe quite. And we also maybe have a slightly different concept of individuality than most animals have. So there's a lot of things that nature's, but we're still natural. We're evolved to nature. So how can we use our nature to support regeneration? Because that would be our superpower. Because we're not. Because there's one story is like, oh, humans, cancer on the planet, but we're better without us. I'm like, I don't know if I'm buying that. It's a very negative story. I mean, but we're also custodians. Look at the things we can build, and yeah, we built a lot of very destructive things. But that doesn't mean that that's naturally what we do if we're left to our own devices. Because that's more like other systems and structures in place that created those outcomes. So I've been thinking then, what are the how do we create the outcomes that lead us to our regen OS destination? Maybe not so much worrying about what it looks like, but like how do we create the vibe or the resonance that will bring us there, and that as almost like that'll attract us to that goal. And a lot, I think yeah, the play is hugely important, and I think a lot of time is to sort of maybe when we're looking at, well, maybe we should be looking at you do that, you do this, and then we'll kind of put this together like a puzzle. Maybe it's more like how can we get along in this process? How do we find a way where we can resonate with each other as simply and freely as possible, so that we can in a natural way resonate and kind of just find the solutions together without the me and you and what you contribute and what I contribute, but like we move into this us space. So how do we step into this role of being a custodial species from the type of species we are now, which is, and it's just a phase we are moving through, I hope. And I think we're now at a point where we've technologically we can start mimicking like mycelium. We can start mimicking these natural processes. And I think from that we can actually step into the role that is our goal, and then from there something else will be born. But we need to take it that far. So that's, I think, is my final thoughts, is like, how do we create this space where coherence can happen?
Thank you for this morning game. This is the vibe indeed.
Yeah. This is the vibe.
I want this satsang, they say satsang, like truth or sense making, right? Truth sharing circles, like every day. It feels like so cool to just have this broadcasting technology, because everyone has this story and everyone has something to share at this time. So as part of a gathering in motion, where we go through the lands, where we connect to the elements, where we go through cities, where we invite new people in, is to have this daily broadcasting. And it's not one guy sitting there and sharing their vision, but it's circles like this.
So you want to take the gathering as like the event and create a spin-off that will be on the move?
Exactly. I called this the pilgrimage. It was a little bit misunderstood, I think, by some people in the community, or because we associate pilgrimage, with a journey to God, where we walk for ourselves to a sacred site. But I think it's more broader framed as a collective journey of humanity into this future where we are kins of the earth, where we are living, we recognize the paradise, the heaven that this earth is, and flourishing together. And so we are all on this journey to that reality. Some of us are actually living in its reality. We give our best every day to be coherent, to live in that reality. But it's very important to understand that every one of us is the gathering, right? So this idea of the power of 8, or the Maharishi effect, when we come together, we create like a meditative field, or a field of coherence, that is just this attractive field of great ideas. It's a magnetic field that increases the future evolution of the whole. When we are all isolated and alone after the gathering, we can still focus on the mission and do our project and so on. But I think everyone has also this responsibility of, okay, maybe I have to go back to Berlin, for example. But when I'm there, I do a mini gathering there, at home, for example, right?
you're all invited.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
personally, I want to invite a lot of people here to walk in October from Florence, the birthplace of the last Renaissance, to Rome. It's just like a small, maybe 2 or 3 week walk. You can just drop in whenever you want. And we have meditations every day. We have all these beautiful healing modalities that we have at the gathering. We have sense making together. We do this live streams, and it's not a retreat. It's not a, it's not even commercial. Like you just come,
Okay.
and then we are communing with nature and walking this journey.
So it's not under the banner of the gathering, with the logo of the gathering, not in this way.
Well, I mean that I'm open for that too, because I think it needs to be a collaborative effort. So it's, if Planeteer, for example, people from Planeteer, which, I'm also part of Planeteer, just like many here, like come there too. So it's co-created by Planeteer. It's co-created by the gathering. It's
Okay,
co-created.
like that.
So it's always already, it's embodying this idea of many organizations morphing into a Gaian superorganism that is beyond any brand, but it is just infectious. It is carrying that vibration forward to anyone we meet, and that's why also this gifting social technology that we were working on yesterday, of just approaching anyone we meet on our journey and giving them a gift, making them a little bit happy, and then maybe interviewing them and asking them, hey, what if I'm Earth now, and I'm just curious, what is your dream, what is your superpower, what is the thing that blocks you right now from creating the future that you want, like having this dialogue with anyone we meet. I think that's what comes next, and then people will be like, wow, this feels very meaningful, like I'm being seen on a deeper level and I can participate in it.
So because you said it's not a retreat, and that sprung me into this space of, okay, what's the word that we're looking for? Because also, this implication of like a spiritual retreat, it implies that you're moving away from something, that you're retreating from the world.
That's the meaning of the word, yeah.
And that's the literal meaning of the word. And I think the word that came up is, what you're doing is a spiritual invite.
Spiritual invite.
So it's you're moving through the world, and you're inviting spirit in.
Spiritual treat.
Or a spiritual treat, yes. Yeah. Just like cross out the era. Yeah. That's the other thing. But that you're moving in a way that invites others in, but in the spirit that you're looking to invite them in.
Exactly.
And creating these invitations wherever we go, and those invites are going to look different for each of us. But when we create that space for invitation of the things that we want to receive, then we create the opportunity for those people to identify themselves and go, fuck yes, I'm from the future, or I'm from another dimension, and to allow themselves to or to join, or to receive the invitation into play.
Yeah, and this is still a very tricky theme. Like, one of my learning processes after this time is like, we clearly found this state of being, a way of being that is like, hallelujah, we are free, or we can play, or we have this agency to create this world that we want to live in. And it's like, I now think more people should have the possibility to feel that. So that's something, for example, that with the church, where we will walk on this path of Francis of Assisi, who was a Gaian saint, so to say, right? He was an incredible man, but a lot of the church, was based on, missionaries. There was actually a form of colonialism, and so this is a pattern I see within myself, within the collective too. Of, I feel I have this need to share with you that we found this place and it's so good, and you should be there too. but that's already, you hear the language, you should be there too. I want to enforce this reality on to you. So that's where it's too much. So we have to also learn to be wise, and just by us being in that state, we attract, instead of just forcing another ideology or selling another ideology to people masked behind beautiful words. I think it needs to be just like an emergence, right?
Yeah. This is how we were exactly brainstorming yesterday, of how do we create those stepping stones for people that they can take this path, right? But
Yeah.
And I think there are on one hand, yes, and like I think we can invent plays, and we can share plays, and we can share moves, and there's this, and there's different plays at different points that we can identify. So there's the invitation, which moves you into initiation, which can then move you into integration, which then can move you into interdependency, and then finally into being. Or moves us, more importantly, because actually there is no you in into being, but each stage has different plays and different moves, and we discover those moves by making them, and then by sharing them across the network and across the community. I just did this work that got this response. I say I'm from the future, instantly if somebody's from the future, they will go, fuck yes, me too. And if they're not, then they will engage in a different space, in a different pattern, and they're invited into the imagination. But there are other moves, there are other plays, there are other artifacts and games and ways in which we can do them. And the more, the better. And these can be very personal design patterns, evolved to suit everybody in their own situation. But if we share across the network what works for us, then that creates the invitation for the network to adopt them. And then as we go, we evolve the different plays. Then what does initiation look like? How do we invent that? I think last night that was an initiation. That we are initiating people into that space of permission, of possibility, that they can grow themselves. And it was healing for me as well. The first time I seeded a song in community, and it felt beautiful to see how that emerged and how other people picked up on that prompt when I entered into that space of vulnerability. Like just a couple of lines, and then turning into a round, and then somebody else being invited to add music and guitar chords, and then to finally hear this thing that I'd been carrying emerge into the space was profoundly beautiful and initiatory for me.
What I found especially beautiful is first the facilitator facilitated the ceremony for the first time, and you seeded that song for the first time. Another person was singing in front of a group for the first time. And other people were drinking ceremonial cacao for the first time. Other people met for the first time. So suddenly there was like a mechanism or a process emerging that allowed people to experience something for the first time. And it was beautiful, just observing that.
And thus the ceremony of seeds was born as a process emerging. A pattern that can now be copied across the network.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Who invented this? You know, what a blessing. It's so cool. How many lives?
Channeling Gaia.
No, but really also thank you to all the ancestors that worked really hard, and they this was also us when we were suffering and we were oppressed by a system, and we were dreaming about this maybe heaven that is beyond this life, because the situation was just so imprisoning that we could not imagine that we live in a heaven in this life. Right? Now we have this huge possibility with all these nuanced games and ways we can unfold our personality, our inner child, and just to make this an epic journey. And it's a big, big privilege. And I think we have probably prepared lives to be here now and to be of highest service in our highest self for this time.
We were ancestors dreaming of this future now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also just realized as you were talking, when you spoke of heaven, I think that heaven is simply, it's a remembering of that future space that we co-create. Like the very idea of it, or at least Eden, is a remembering of the space. That it's not just the space that we came from; it's the space that we create.
Wow. That's wow. Okay, now embodied cognition, guys. Let's move a little bit.
Let's bring it into the world.
Yes, I need to move a little bit.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Were you recording afterwards as well, Kevin?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Yeah.
So you can
Awesome.
say goodbye
Yeah.
to the audience, Jay.
Oh, goodbye.
Salam.
Bye.
Oh.